this going. Want to thank everyone for joining us tonight, and thank you, Sherry, for joining us from the ad hoc committee as well. And I recognize that we're going to have a couple of people join us from your committee, and they hopefully to have some good discussion tonight when we get to your portion of the rec committee agenda. So I will call this meeting to order. It will be moved by Councillor Yake, seconded by Mayor Lennox. We have a recommendation that the agenda for the May 10th, 2022 Township of Wellington North Recreation, Parks and Leisure Committee meeting be accepted and passed. All in favor? Thank you. I'll start with you, Dan, if you have any disclosure of any pecuniary interest.
None.
Mayor Lennox?
I have none to declare, thank you.
I have none either, and if there is something that does come up, you can declare it at the time and recuse yourself. So with that, I will. There's no deputations tonight. We have the minutes of the previous meeting from April 5th, 2022, approved at council on April 11th, 2022, and I have a recommendation moved by Andy, seconded by Dan, that the Rec, Parks and Leisure Committee approve the minutes of the April 5th, 2022 committee meeting. All in favor? Thank you. And we have some business arising from the minutes, and I will pass it over to Matt for the OPS 2022-007 Mount Forest Outdoor Pool and Community Survey. And with that, I will pass it over to you, Matt.
Yep. Thank you, Chair McCabe, and good evening, everyone. The report that's before you is really just sort of the raw data from the survey. The survey was open from about the 21st of March to the 30th of April. I think we received in the neighborhood of 121 responses. And what that report really is, again, is just a summary of that raw data that we can use as both committees to better understand better understand some of the features and some of the wants and needs of the community. So at your pleasure, Chair McCabe, Mandy is prepared to bring the tail end or the appendix of that report up and just kind of work through each of the questions just to go over it with all that's in attendance. But I do think the intention is that this information, so concept 3 was the preferred concept from the survey question, but I think from a staff standpoint, we need to look through all of the questions and see what components we can use as a starting point concept 3 and try to incorporate some of those components that ranked highly as it relates to the survey. So yeah, at your indulgence, Chair McCabe, I think Mandy would be able to share that and work through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks, Mandy. And the floor is yours.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair McCabe. So you should be able to see my screen here now. And so what this is question 1, and this is more of a demographic question. So what is your age? As you can see by the graph, we did receive 43 respondents in the age range of 35 to 44, followed closely by the age range 45 to 54 with 23 respondents and 22 respondents in the 25 to 34 age range. Moving down to question 2, how many people in your household use the current Mount Forest pool? So the highest response rate was 25 with 0, followed by 24 with 2 and 24 with 4. So yeah, overall there was, and sorry, 3 with 6 or more in their family. Question number 3 was, I typically participate in the following pool programs, and this was a select all that applied to your family. And public swim came in the highest with 68 respondents selecting that, 61 for family swim and 44 for swim lessons. Aquafit had 20, lap swim or lane swim had 17, and other included 15. And some of those comments in the other section were, you know, I come and watch my grandchild use the swimming pool, or I watch a family member using the swimming pool, that sort of comment. My primary reason for visiting the swimming pool is, and again, this was a select all question. So primarily it's health and fitness with 83 respondents, followed by entertainment with 67, socialization with 30, other with 12, and rehabilitation with 8. And again, the other is watching family members. It also included rentals for birthday parties and that sort of thing. How often do you or your family use the current Mount Forest pool? A few times a week had 26 respondents. Never was 25. A few times a month were 20. Less than a month was 18. About once a week was 17, and once a month was 12. Every day we had 3 respondents. Which concept is your favorite? So concept 1 was the recreational concept. It had 34 responses. Concept 2 was the swim centric, and that was the concept with the steps that went into the pool. It had 37. And concept 3 was the hybrid with 50. And I'll scroll down here because it was in the report. I tried to condense some of the comments for these next 2. So I'll go back to those in a moment. When considering pool entry, which do you prefer? So beach entry, stepped entry, and ramp and ladder. Now this was a ranking. So you would be able to pick your 1, 2, and 3. So overall, beach entry received 75 votes. Stepped entry was the 2nd overall. And the 3rd overall was the ramp and ladder entry. How many swim lanes do you think the new Mount Forest outdoor pool should have? 4 received 50 votes, 3 received 30, 2 was 19, 1 was 3, and other. Those comments mostly consisted of 5+, 6+, something in order to accommodate swim team, lane swim, etc. Please select the 3 main features you would most like to see included in the pool. So again, this question, respondents were supposed to only select the top 3 features. In some instances, they may have selected more or less, but overall, this is what the results were. Diving board received 66, sunshades with 59, beach entry with 52. Then we had the rock wall, the water bubbler sprays, the mushroom fountain with 30, teaching steps with 29, and the bubble therapy bench with 28. So a nice kind of spread on those. Would you like to have a spectator section outside of the pool area in addition to the spectator space on deck? There was 57 yes, 22 no, and 42 with no preference. In some of the comments, there were comments regarding the spectator section as well. Are there any additional features or amenities that you would like to see other than those that are already shown in the concepts? Again, I did include that in the condensed report, so I'll pull those up after. And then how important is ease of quick drop off to you? This was on a scale of 0 to 100, 100 being very important, 0 being not important at all. Overall, this response showed 47%, so right in the middle.
Mandy, can I just ask you a quick question about that slide? Sorry to interrupt you.
No.
What does the total number with the 5,717, what does that number come from?
Yeah, so when people would have filled it out, some people might have picked, 15, some people might have picked 90.
Oh, it's a total of all the, okay, sorry,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Thank you.
No problem. So are you interested in volunteering with fundraising efforts? We did have 35 people respond that yes, they are interested. And we had another 35 respond that they're also interested in providing financial support to the pool as well. So I'm just going to scroll down. I apologize to the report here. All right, so question 7 there, what I condensed down from the comments were, what do you like about the presented concepts? A lot of comments about the size of the pool and the layout, the variety of activities and features for all abilities and ages, that it's a new and modern facility, that accessibility features are built in, the location of the new pool, and the seating areas, benches, shades, turf, and large deck area. Question 8 was what do you dislike about the presented concepts? And we heard that it needs to be a simpler design, more swim lanes to run swim team, bleachers need to be outside of the fenced area, that there's no indoor pool option, that there's too much concrete or deck space, and that the lines of vision for lifeguards and lifeguard placement is an issue or a challenge. Too many frills and amenities, and then on the other side, not enough amenities are included. Location of shades and trellis, and the pools look small. So those were some of the comments we had received. Scrolling down to question 13 was, are there any additional features or amenities that you would like to see other than those already shown in the concepts? And that included a high diving board, water slide, hot tub area, roof, sidewalks from Cork Street, and outdoor lockers, music, and Wi-Fi.
Thank you for that, Mandy. There's some good info in there, especially it's great to get the respondents that we did. In the amount of time that this survey was live, would you say 121 is a big number or small number, or?
I think it's a good response rate. We need to dig in a little bit deeper to understand what that 121 represents, because some of the people did respond that they were responding on behalf of 6 individuals and their families. So we need a little bit more time to dig into those numbers to see what the true reflection of those response rates are.
Great, thank you. I will open the floor for any questions or comments from the committee. Go ahead, Dan.
Not really a question, but 121 seems to be a reasonably good number. I mean, it's, you obviously would take more if you could get them, but by looking at the questions and the results, I think you got a pretty good cross section of answers that should help, I hope.
I didn't mind the age range either. Andy, do you have any questions or comments?
Not a whole lot. I mean, I think to get a little bit more context with the comments, I think would be very helpful too. I mean, we have some conflicting recommendations, so how are we going to reconcile some of those? Is going to be a challenge, and I think we have to understand the context a little bit to figure out what way we think we ought to weight that. So great preliminary results, but I think we do need to dig in a little deeper.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great start, and this is what the public consultation was about. And I know Mike's going to shake his head. And I remember at the meeting I said this wasn't the first time we were going to talk about this. So hopefully we'll get some more input from the public, and it's much needed. But yeah, good start to it for sure. Yeah, go ahead, Sherry.
Yeah, if I may.
Please.
I just like to say that, yes, great results on this survey. Look forward to digging in a little bit deeper on some of the content. But I'd also just like to say that I think this is a really good starting point for the Aquatics Fundraising Committee especially in regards to question number 13, some of the additional features. Some of those features have been discussed at our committee level, and maybe some of those amenities can be swapped out for some of the amenities that are on the original concepts.
And I like the question about what amenities you would like to see. So yeah, that's should give you a good footing to start with for sure in your committee, Sherry. Mike, I see you popped up.
Yeah, just quickly, Chair McCabe, I've heard now, I think, from all members of council about digging in. So, just curious in terms of what exactly digging in means. Does that mean using this feedback to come back with a revised concept 3 plan for the Rex Parks and Leisure to look at? Is that what digging in means?
Go ahead, Sherry.
So, yeah, Mike, to your question, I think that this preliminary report gives the committee that I chair some of the answers and some of the things that they've been looking for some time. I think that we can have some real valid discussions on fundraising efforts. We know we've got some fundraising events in place, but now we can really sit down and have a discussion on what that fundraising amount looks like. And I would suggest that through the comments, it wasn't really clear on the survey, but I made sure that everybody that I spoke to that had questions about the survey, that we presented 3 concepts, but there's actually a 4th concept. And that's kind of putting all of the pieces from the public engagement together to make that 4th concept. And I think Matt sort of touched on that at the open house in March, that these were just ideas. But I think it's our job through Recreation, Aquatics, and Council to come up with that sort of 4th concept from this information.
Thank you, Sherry. Any answers for Mike from the committee with the regards to digging in?
I guess I'm just trying, maybe from a staff perspective. So Councillor Burke, is the intent that the Aquatics Ad Hoc Committee is going to take the feedback and then try and make recommendations as to a concept 4? Is that what I heard, with based on the feedback that was received?
Well,
I
I
don't
think
it just,
Go
I'm
ahead.
trying to piece together what this is going to look like from a process standpoint for both staff and for the firm that's doing the concept work for us.
I'll go to you, Matt, and then to you, Sherry. Go ahead, Matt.
If Sherry wants to speak first, I can.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna share through you, Chair McCabe. I think what I think is a next step is kind of concept 3 gets used as the base or the starting point, and then there's sort of a modified concept 3 that gets back to committee, trying to incorporate as much of the feedback as we've received in this process. And I don't know if it's question 9, but the question that's very specific to amenities and enhancements, that's a question that I think the fundraising committee needs to kind of take away and provide some feedback on, as far as now they know what the community is looking for. You know, from a fundraising standpoint, where do they see themselves, or how do they see supporting those features being potentially included?
Yeah, and I think we've had some costs for some of the amenities, so it might give you a ballpark. And I guess, Mike, when I said dig in, that's kind of like they can kind of start digging into the cost of what the amenities the community is looking at, and what the ad hoc committee would like as additional or maybe not additional amenities. Sorry, go ahead, Sherry.
It's pretty much been covered by what Matt said. Between question 9 and question 13 is probably of most interest to the Aquatics Committee. I mean, it's great to see all that other information as well. But this is what we've been waiting for, and I think there'll be some good deliberations over what we can expect to fundraise and what the community wants.
Go ahead, Andy.
Thanks, Chair. Through you, I just would caution some of these amenities, like particularly the ones that were identified as not being included, such as a water slide and or a high diving board. may have operational implications too that we need to consider. For instance, staffing around such amenities may be an issue. So we need to, not only look at it from a nice to have perspective, we also need to look at it from a practical side too. So I hate to be the guy to throw cold water on enthusiasm, but in this case, I think I have to.
And are you talking about the ones that have water features that have to be primed in the startup and then, excuse me, winterized? Is that what you're speaking
No,
to?
I'm more referring to lifeguards. I mean, if you've got a water slide happening, you got to have some staffing to police that. At least that's any place I've ever been on a water slide, that's been the case. Same thing with a high diving board. You can't have kids necessarily just cannonballing off of it at will. So I think there are some considerations around those types of things. I'm not the expert, but I think that, I see other public pools have steered away from some of those amenities for those very reasons.
Okay. Sherry, I think I saw your hand up there.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that with some of the concept designs that we visited, some of us on the Aquatics Committee had visited, there are certain amenities, like if you have a monster water slide, it takes one lifeguard to just patrol, I don't know what the right term is, but patrol that particular feature. So we are very mindful on the staffing perspective of it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the committee? All right. Sorry, Dan?
Nope, none here, Steve.
Oh, okay. I have a recommendation here moved by Councillor Yake and seconded by Mayor Lennox that the Rec, Parks and Leisure Committee receive report RPL 2022-007 being a report on the Mount Forest Outdoor Pool Community Survey. All in favor? Thank you, and thanks again for the survey that staff put together and then boiled down the results. That's like we said, it was a great starting point, and I think it's quite helpful in moving this project forward. And I will go over to you, Sherry. We have the ad hoc committee updates from your meeting on April 5th, 2022. And sorry, before I start, has there been anyone on your ad hoc that has joined the meeting that I can't see?
Hi, Chair McCabe. So I'm just promoting, I see Jessica McFarlane, member Vern Job, and I see a phone number, but I think that it might actually be the Wellington advertiser. So I'm just going to allow them to talk for a moment just to see if that's who that is.
Sure, thank you. It looks like a Fergus number.
Yeah. Hello
yeah,
there.
it is the Wellington advertiser.
Okay, perfect. I will mute you again. Thank you.
Thanks.
And thanks for joining us. Okay, I see Jessica and Vern in, and thanks very much to the two of you for joining us here as well as at our Rec and Park and Leisure Committee. We're just starting the ad hoc committee updates, and I will pass the floor over to Councillor Burke. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Yep, just there's one item ahead of that on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Sorry, I skipped right over that, and that's probably one of the more important ones. Sorry about that, sorry. Yeah, business arising from the previous minutes is the Mount Forest Outdoor Pool Aquatics Center fundraising roles and responsibilities. So yes, I'm glad that Jessica and Vern are here for this conversation as well. This is going to be should be a good conversation. So with that, Matt, do you have any words of wisdom to start this off with?
Yeah, thanks through you, Chair McCabe. I would just give a quick preamble kind of what my understanding it has been to date as it relates to roles and responsibilities for this project, and then leave it open to the committees to discuss. But basically for a long time, I think we've been talking about the RPL committee being the design authority as it relates to the pool. So, ultimately approving the conceptual design, approving the detailed design. Ultimately, that rolls up to council, but kind of RPL's involvement in the pool project would be as that design authority. The Mount Forest Aquatics Ad Hoc Committee being sort of the fundraising arm of the project, and that fundraising arm being sort of specific to amenities or enhancements to the pool over and above what that core pool is. And then last night, I guess at council, there was talk of really what I'll call a third role and responsibility. And that's really, I think, a council role. And council's role is to consider where the funding's going to come or where the financing is going to come with respect to the core outdoor pool for the Mount Forest outdoor pool and aquatic center. So yeah, I see sort of those three bodies all kind of interacting as it relates to the project. And I appreciate the opportunity just to throw out there as a preamble to the conversation, but ultimately from a staff standpoint, we're certainly taking notes and trying to better understand the roles and responsibilities. And this was a conversation that was requested. So hopefully that helps to serve or help to facilitate the discussion or start the discussion.
All right, great. Thank you, Matt, for that. And with that, I can open the floor up to all that the people that I can see. If who wants to start the conversation and or continue the conversation that Matt has started. In my mind, I would see the fundraising arm, like the ad hoc committee looking after the amenities that I would think of. I think council would have more of the principal and the capital. I think there's huge opportunities. I know we've talked about naming rights. I know we've talked about like for the pool itself, for the washrooms. I think the stuff like if Vern wanted to put up a sunshade, he could put Vern Job as cut into the roof of it, all that kind of stuff. I could see that being part of the fundraising for the amenities. And like I said, I think the township council would be would take, I shouldn't say take care of, but would look after the capital project part of it and the principal. But then we would I would like to think that we could ask West Gray, maybe even Southgate, to see if they have any contributions towards the Mount Forest pool. And I think that would be either at a rec committee or perhaps a council to council request, maybe in conjunction with the rec committee. And then some of the hopefully some of the bigger donations, like the naming rights, I think could be at a council level. And that's what we're here to discuss tonight. So I will open the floor. Sherry, go ahead.
Yeah, so with regards to the Aquatics Committee, yes, we have been charged with enhancements. As I had sort of alluded to yesterday at yesterday's meeting, there have been some preliminary discussions about what the landscape will look like as well, but we haven't had those formal discussions. I would agree with Chair McCabe that naming rights, just like we do with any park or other facility, when a group comes and wants to name it after an individual, that is a decision of council. With regards to any of the monies that are collected through either of the municipalities that have been outlined that may wish or we should connect with, whether they want contributions, to give contributions, I believe that should be towards the capital cost. because then once those go towards the capital costs, we can then have user agreements with those folks, just like we do with the arena. As for fundraising, and I don't like to put words in the mouths of the Lions Club, but I would think that those dollars should probably go towards the fundraising efforts. We are a partnership, the Aquatics Committee and the Lions Club. They help out with our events. We help out with their events. And yeah, I think that's all I really have to say. I guess I'd like to say, I would hope, just as we did with the splash pad, if we have recommendations with regards to the design from the Aquatics Committee, our minutes filter up through recreation. And I hope that they would take our recommendations into account when the design of the pool is coming together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can work obviously in partnership, and that's one of the reasons why we're all here tonight as well. So, how do I ask this? So say you guys had a fund rate, the ad hoc committee had a fundraising number of 400,000, just for sake of argument, and with all the good work that you do, and I know you're going to do well, it goes to 600,000.
Mm-hmm.
Just you surpass your fundraising by 200,000. Where do you see any of that 200,000 going? Like, is it going to be I guess held by the fundraising committee, or would there be what do you see as that envision as the chair of that committee, Sherry?
So Steve, if we surpass our goal, just as we did with the splash pad, there was a small overage. I can't remember exactly what that was. That would go to it's pool dollars.
Right.
So
Okay.
I mean, we've raised it in good faith for the pool. So I guess whatever the overage is would go towards the capital costs. And I like your optimism.
I have great faith in you. It's you've got a bunch of great ideas on the ad hoc committee, and it's a great community and great township to get behind you. So we'll help. We'll do what we can to get you by and surpass your goal. Any other questions or comments about roles and responsibilities? Go ahead, Andy.
I think it generally goes without saying, but I think I'm going to say it anyways, and that is that we're all in this together, and there's need to communicate about where we're all working through these challenges ahead of us, so that we are all understanding the process that we're under, and that's often a challenge. But I think it's the challenge that we need to take up to make this work well. It's a partnership arrangement, and we need to make sure that we're talking about the challenges each of us in the group has faces, so that we can all work together for the common goal.
I agree. When we come together as one, it's a powerful force. Dan, do you have any questions or comments?
So Steve, I think a lot of the things have been talked about here and hashed out, and I think we just need to keep the ball rolling and keep moving forward. Not much I can really add to what we've talked about here yet.
Okay, great. And yeah, recommendations from the ad hoc will obviously go back to this committee and then go from there to council. So we'll work in conjunction as we have been, and like Dan said, keep the ball rolling. All right, thank you for that. That was sorry, did you have your hand up there, Sherry?
No, sorry.
No,
No.
okay.
No.
So thank you for that. Good discussion there. And okay, now we can go to the ad hoc Aquatics ad hoc advisory meeting from April 5th, 2022. And I have a recommendation moved by Andy and seconded by Dan, that the Rec, Parks and Leisure Committee approve the minutes of the April 5th, 2022 Mount Forest Aquatics Ad Hoc Advisory Committee meeting. And I will pass the floor over to you, Sherry.
Thank you very much. So I'm not really going to go over the minutes proper. If there are any questions, I would gladly field those. But I'd like to discuss the business arising from the minutes. And there was some discussion about how we would engage the school children for their comments. We have a couple of teachers on our committee, and they were talking to some of their students about what they'd like to see in the pool. So I think with this committee's indulgence, we'd like to, sort of do something like that, but on the same token, not hold up the process. So whether there was some talk about potentially extending the survey. We know that the age group that we're talking about wasn't really identified in the preliminary summary of the surveys, but maybe once we get once staff is able to pull out some more detail, maybe we already have covered that off. But I think that was sort of the intent, because I know that there are some features that are listed as things that you'd like to see that have sort of been discussed and were brought up through some of those classes, through those students, that they would like to see that, it's not a pool if you don't have X. So I think if we can cover that off, and I think with this committee's indulgence, we can come up with some ideas through the Aquatics Committee to do that, and then bring forward recommendations, or through questions 9 and 13, sort of have a look at that from our committee, at our committee level.
Okay, yeah, and this would obviously hopefully be done before the school, school's out.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's
Yeah.
one of my questions was, you wouldn't want it to drag on over summer and then back into September. So
No, one of the suggestions was to extend the survey till for a longer time frame after April. But we all know that the longer you extend the survey, then the longer it is to keep the wheels moving. And our committee is very committed to keeping things rolling, so that we can keep fundraising events moving, and the concept and the process of getting a final design out to the public.
okay. And are you thinking more along the lines of grade school, or the Wellington Heights, or
I think
all three, or?
Yeah, I think the intent was, because we have some ins with sort of the elementary school, that could be a way to go about it, just like we did with the skateboard park here in Mount Forest, and you folks have done in Arthur for the BMX skateboard park.
Yeah.
Whether we get together with one class or two classes from a couple of the schools here. But yeah, those discussions we haven't truly completed. We were sort of waiting to see what this survey information would give us.
Yeah, and I think I do think it's great that there's involvement from probably the age group that would probably use it the most.
Mhm.
And I think it's great to get them involved in a survey or questions alongside the pool of what we're looking to build. And I think it gives them a sense of community and ownership in it as well. So as long as it doesn't delay it.
Right on.
Go ahead, Jessica.
Sherry mentioned about the BMX park of you guys going out, reaching out to the elementary schools. I just wasn't familiar with that. So I'm just curious to know Was it a survey, or what exactly did you do for that?
I know in Arthur at the for the skate park, Councillor Lisa Hearn and Mandy went into the Arthur public school. And Mandy, I saw you pop up and then go off the screen. You'll know more about it than what I do. So if you want to jump in and explain, that'd be great. And then Sherry, then you're up. Go ahead, Mandy.
Thanks, Chair McCabe. So as part of the BMX Skateboard Park Committee, they wanted to get into chat with some of the school age children to get some feedback from them about design. So we did a school visitation program with Mr. Cox's grade 6 class, and we visited a couple of times, presented a couple of different options, a couple of different features, and then we took the feedback back to the committee for them to listen to and then determine as part of their design process.
Thank you. And Sherry, go ahead.
Yeah, so for the skateboard park here in Mount Forest, we did a slightly different approach. We contacted a couple of the teachers, and we did a cross section of the students, different age ranges that actually use the skateboard park. So listening to them talk about the amenity and what they would like to see was very interesting and very enlightening, because at that time, neither I or the rec director knew a whole lot about skateboarding or skateboard parks. So it was very interesting. So there are a couple of ways that we could talk about doing some student engagement. It's just a matter of how we want to go about it.
Yeah, thank you. And I know with some of the help of the youth down in Arthur, just because that's the latest one that's on the go. We had a youth member, Jack, and he was really, really good at bringing up stuff that, as Sherry alluded to, I had no idea what they were talking about, but young people using it obviously would appreciate it. So hopefully that answers your question, Jessica. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's good to hear, especially to know that you got the positive feedback or got the information that you needed to be able to make a decision. I think maybe doing some amending the survey that we have already, obviously geared towards more, the younger group, so they can understand the questions a little bit better. Might be good, because obviously getting out to multiple classes at multiple schools, might not be actually feasible to do before the end of June. So if we did a combination of both, got some surveys out, had the teachers each maybe just spend 15 minutes with the kids to go over the questions with them, hand them into the principal, I guess, and then if we spread out and even just meet with, say, 1 or 2 classes, then we're hopefully getting a little bit of everything.
Yep. Good ideas. Matt, go ahead there. I see you popped up.
Oh, thanks, Chair McCabe. Yeah, I was just going to suggest, maybe in the interest of time, if sharing concept 3 and maybe that question 9 and 13 with some of the members of the committee who are teachers, to kind of just solicit feedback in the schools would maybe be something that would be achievable before year end, because year end is coming up quick with school, and that would, if Councillor Burke has some of her committee members or teachers, that might be a way to at least sort of acid test what the results have been, and try to sense check if those results make sense to what a couple particular classes think.
Fair enough. Thank you for that, Matt. And Andy, I think I saw your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Chair McCabe. Through you, I just wanted to extend my thanks to the ad hoc committee members for volunteering to do that. I think engaging youth is absolutely the right thing to do in this case. This is not only what they'll use today, but they're the future citizens of our community in the future. So if they have some input into this, I think is absolutely the right thing. And I'd like to just say thank you to those who are volunteering to take that on.
Yeah, they're, this is going to be more for them than for maybe anyone on this committee or on this meeting tonight. So their input is, yeah, is quite valuable. Vern, anything on your mind with regards to this?
No, I think you've explained a lot. I guess the only question I got is that I take from the conversation was that the township is responsible for the footprint for the pool and that the Aqua Committee is responsible for all the amenities that we're going to put on. Is that a fair assumption?
I would agree with that, I think. At least that's my understanding, I think, as well.
And I guess the question then, when will the fundraising arm know, I guess, how much the footprint costs and as versus the overall, how many amenities we need to raise funds for?
Matt, I'm going to look to you, not to put you on the spot.
No, yeah, thanks, Chair McCabe, and through you to Member Job. I guess, so we have the concept and we have the footprint as far as the, the physical space of where the pool is going to exist and kind of the tank size. We're still working through with the concepts kind of demonstrate, what kind of things can go there. But I think the idea would be that enhancements or amenities like things like sunshades, things like the water features, climbing wall, those things would be things that the fundraising committee would be able to fundraise for that could be added to that. I don't want to call it basic tank, but I'll say a basic modern, accessible pool. That's the way kind of I understand it, Chair McCabe.
And I think, would it be fair to say, like with the concepts that we have seen, it's between 5 and 5.5 million as a with either concept? Would that be fair?
That's been what the conversation with the architect has been to date, recognizing that we're at the conceptual design phase. So, it's plus or minus, it's plus or minus 25%, 30% at this point. As it becomes more refined, the conceptual design, we have more visibility or more ability to provide a more accurate estimate.
Like when you kind of get right down to the almost nuts and bolts of it. Vern, I saw your hand up there again.
Just, I guess, of that 5.5 million or whatever that number is, do we know how much of that dollar was amenities, or like that's not just 5.5 million for the basic tank? It included at least the perceptuals included a bunch of amenities. So I guess what we need to know from an Aqua Committee is how much of those 5.5 million are we needing to raise if we wanted every one of those things that were included in scenario 3.
And I think we have some prices on the amenities. I'm trying to think of what meeting that was at.
We have those.
Oh, it was the April 5th one. Sorry, Mike. Yeah, you can jog my memory here.
So Chair McCabe, to Vern's question, concept 3 had 7 sunshades on it. Sunshades were estimated at $15,000. Concept 3 had at least one water feature, which those were estimated at roughly $30,000. It had the climbing wall in it, which was $32,000. I think we could maybe look at an additional water feature based on some of the feedback. So that's an additional 30,000. So those are the numbers based on concept 3 as it relates to the amenities, which again, to your point, that's what the Aquatics Committee has been looking for. I think my follow-up to that is until the final concept is determined, which was the reason for getting the feedback, we don't know what those final amenities are going to be, but we can certainly get you the rough numbers. 7 times 15,000, plus 60,000 plus 32,000. That's the amenity numbers to begin with.
And I think wasn't the beach entrance almost about 100 grand?
Yeah, but I don't believe that the Aquatics Committee sees that as an enhancement. It's
Okay.
an accessibility feature.
Right, fair enough.
And
Sorry. I'll let Matt go off with go on with Mike's comments, and then I'll go to you, Dan, and then you, Sherry.
yeah, thanks, Chair McCabe. It's also the aquatics facility that goes along with it, right? Like the change rooms and the shower facilities. It's not just the tank, as far as maybe I described it wrong. It's sort of, it's a complete aquatic center, a complete outdoor aquatic center.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Mike this question. Mike, do we or do we not have any kind of, I guess, terms of reference in regards to, I know we still seem to be talking about who's paying for what. Like we've been talking about this for quite a long time. So do we need to put together some terms of reference as to what everybody's going to be, or what each group is going to be responsible for?
So, Councillor Yake, Councillor Burke can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been at the Aquatics Committee meetings as well, and I believe, and this goes back to Vern's question, things like the sunshades, the climbing wall, the water features, those are the things that the Aquatics Committee are going to fundraise for. The bathhouse, the pool, the tank that Matt speaks of, the swim lanes, the trellis with the seating area, those are all part of the core pool, which I like that reference. The core pool and bathhouse will be the separate costs. Those are going to be costs that the Aquatics Committee is not focused on raising dollars for.
Okay, I understand that.
Okay.
But do we have that in any kind of document? Or are we just okay with just saying this?
Sherry, I saw your hand go up first, and then back to you, Matt.
Okay, so first I want to go back to the beach entry. Mike isn't wrong in the fact in saying that the Aquatics Committee believes that that is the accessible entrance to the pool. However, if there's been some discussion about maybe putting some bubblers in there for some toddlers, that would be something that the Aquatics Committee would look at fundraising for, because that is an additional amenity to that entrance. To go back to Dan's comment, there was a resolution back in 2019 that was received in council minutes, and it's just reiterates the fact that the township is responsible for replacement of the pool, and the enhancements would be paid for through fundraising efforts. So I'm not sure if that clarifies what you're looking for, Dan, but
It doesn't for me, Councillor Yake. It does not clarify it. So what I would suggest, and this is just a suggestion, you guys can, when we have concept 4, the final concept, I think it's indulgent on council to sit in a room and look at the concept and say, this is an enhancement, this is an enhancement, this is an enhancement, this is an enhancement, and give it to the Aquatics Committee and say, here's the enhancements, here's how much they cost. Good luck. And it sounds, maybe it sounds asinine, but because to Councillor Burke, she's read the resolution, the debate becomes, what is an enhancement? And we've tried to be as clear as we could throughout, but to other people, it means different things. So I really do think council is going to have to look at the concept and say, hey, there's 7 sunshades. Those are enhancements. We didn't have those at the old pool. That's an enhancement. We didn't have a climbing wall. That's an enhancement. We didn't have beach entry, but it's accessible, but we want bubblers. That's an enhancement.
Fair enough.
I think that's the only way you're going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I think it's gotta be black and white. I think I saw Jessica and then Dan, and then I'll go to you, Matt. So I don't know if you had your hand up, Jessica, or, yeah, okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mike, for saying that. I completely agree, because I think as a committee, when we're doing all these fundraising efforts, at some point, we are going to be questioned on from some individuals or some businesses saying, I'm putting forth X number of dollars, and what is all of this going to? So I think it would be easier for us to have a list of things. I know I was on the splash pad committee, but I'll use the example of the bricks or the benches. It was really nice to see, if you want to have your name on the brick, I got one for my son, and so his name is on there, then that way, if a business wants to have the bench, it's nice to have these actual specific things. It just would make it a lot easier, I think, from a fundraising effort from our committee.
Thank you. Dan, I think you were on the docket next.
Okay, so I agree with what Mike's saying, but it just seems that for once, I agree with what he's saying. I'll throw that in there too. But it just seems that, like, once we have a lot of discussions, and it just seems kind of unclear. I know we've talked about, the municipality is going to be responsible for this. The Aquatics Committee is going to be responsible for this. But having taken what Mike has said and getting the final design, and then sitting down and saying, okay, here is what each one of you is responsible for, which it seems to be taking a long time to get there, but we are moving in that direction. So that's good. So I guess, and then just going back to Sherry's comment in her document, dated 2019, I guess that kind of just opened the door to kind of get the thing rolling, get the project rolling. But I agree with what Mike has said. Once the final design, it needs to be clearly spelled out, what the municipality is paying for and what the ad hoc or what the Aquatics Committee is paying for. And I think that will make it a lot more, it will certainly make it clearer in everybody's eyes.
I agree, Dan, and I think, that would, I guess we could, don't know, are you looking to make that a recommendation that we put that towards council member Yaig, or?
No, I'm leaning towards what Mike had said. Once the final design has come forward, then there needs to be some sort of whether it's a terms of reference, whether it's a recommendation, whether it's some sort of document that states, okay, here's what you're responsible for. Here, and the Aquatics Committee is going to know what their costs are. We're going to know what our costs are, hopefully. I don't think it needs to be a recommendation. I think it's just moving forward. I think we need to be headed in that direction.
Like lay it all out.
Lay it all out.
Right. Andy, did I see your hand up?
Thanks, Chair McCabe. I've had several thoughts as the discussion has unfolded, but I think it's been pretty well covered. I think as we move closer to the final design, we can continue the discussions, and I think it needs to be a discussion with the ad hoc committee in terms of what they believe is achievable. I think we've got people on that committee that have lots of experience with fundraising, and I think we can take some advice from them on what's achievable and what we can ask from community fundraising.
All right, thanks. So Vern, hopefully that answers your, oh, sorry, Jessica?
You might not be able to answer this question, but could we assume that if we got, or when we get our feedback from the students and from the schools, that we will hopefully have enough information to actually choose, for the counselors to choose a design concept that they want to go ahead with?
I hope so.
I hope so.
I really do. Go ahead, Mike.
With that said, Councillor McCabe, maybe this committee wants to acknowledge and take into account Matt's recommendation on how to proceed with getting that feedback. So that becomes direction to staff to move forward with that. So that gets completed before end of school year. Let's do that tonight. If everybody thinks that's a good idea, let's put it in the minutes. Let's move forward with that as an idea. So that's the next step in terms of gathering information based on Matt's idea, and let's move that forward.
Yep, I'm on board with that. We don't need a recommendation, just a direction to staff is good, Mike?
I'm
I'm
comfortable with
fine
it.
with that. Don't get me wrong. I'm
Yep.
fine with just the direction.
We'll see what Matt's comfortable with.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Chair McCabe. I was just going to say, I sort of see the resolution being something like that the Recreation, Parks and Leisure Committee recommend council direct staff to provide concept 3 and the results of question 9 and 13 to the Mount Forest Aquatics Ad Hoc Advisory Committee to solicit feedback from local schools.
I really get your idea of the resolution behind that, but I mean, that'll take another 2 weeks.
I think staff will start working. That's something we already have in hand, and we can start working on that.
Yeah, so I would, I get the gist behind that, Matt, but with the sense of expediency, I think if it's just a direction to staff and you're already working on it, then that's the goal to work for or towards.
So cancel the recommend to council and just say that the Recreation, Parks and Leisure Committee directs staff.
Yeah.
And then follow up with the rest of the words that I don't want to hobble together again.
Exactly. So Vern, there's your answer in a long-winded roundabout way of saying it. I hopefully that answers it.
Oh, thank you very much. I apologize for opening a can of worms, but
No, it's good. This is what we're here for.
I think we got the vehicle moving down the road now, at least anyway, which is a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for the question. Really good conversation. Andy, I see your hands up there.
Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I think our director of operations was saying he'd prefer a resolution, and I'd be happy to move that as he outlined it.
It'll just get in the minutes that way, Chair McCabe.
Yeah, I think we've got the direction to staff already, and like I said, I don't know if we need a resolution. Andy, thank you. I'd rather just drive on with this as is. But I mean, if you're moving that, I guess by rights, do I have to go and is there a seconder, I guess, to that resolution?
Well, I'll second it, but I mean, let's just make it happen. Okay, one way or the other, whether it's a resolution or it's just in the minutes, let's just make something happen.
All right, so there's a resolution on the floor. We can approve it or deny it. I guess all in favor on that resolution that Matt kind of hobbled together. All in favor? That carries. All right, so that will be a resolution that will go towards the next council meeting. Yeah, go ahead, Andy.
I think staff will take that as direction, Councillor McCabe. I just think that they were more comfortable having it formalized a little bit.
Okay. Sounds good. I didn't cut you off, did I, Vern? Okay. Any other questions or, excuse me, or comments with regards to the fundraising roles and responsibilities? Seeing none, thank you very much for that. Sorry, that was the ad hoc meeting, I guess, sorry, and then the engagement of the school and children for comment. So there is a recommendation on the floor that the Rec, Parks and Leisure Committee approve the minutes of the April 5th, 2022 Mount Forest Aquatics Ad Hoc Advisory Committee meeting. All in favor? Thank you very much. That was great discussion. And again, thanks, Vern, for the question that sparked a good conversation. So thank you for that. Moving on, we have the OPS 2022-005 summer program. And I have a recommendation moved by Mayor Lennox, seconded by Councillor Yake, that the Rec, Park and Leisure Committee receive report RLP 2022-005, being a report on summer recreation programs. And further, that the committee recommend the Council of the Township of Wellington North endorse that both the Arthur and the Mount Forest pools remain operational for 2022 summer season with a reduced program schedule of approximately 5 hours per day per facility. And further, that the public swim, family swim and swimming lessons be given priority when creating the program schedule. And with that, I will pass it over to you, Matt.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Chair McCabe. I think the report is fairly self-explanatory. It's been a real challenge this year to find and recruit lifeguards. We currently have basically 2 lifeguards in each community, and then what I'll call a roving lifeguard, which really, when we put the schedule together, means that we're looking at about 5 hours a day per facility. And I think Sundays are excluded from that. So it's a 6-day week. That's less, as far as service level, that's less than what we've provided in the past. But really it's a function of the ability to recruit lifeguards. And that's something that's sort of industry wide, as far as when you look across municipalities, lifeguards are in short supply and high demand. Yeah, we put this forward as the best schedule that we can do, keeping in mind, lifeguards we can't overwork lifeguards because of what they're doing. And we think this is a compromise, and kind of just wanted to provide awareness for it, but also to get some buy-in that the idea that, public swim, family swim, swimming lessons, those are our priority programs that we offer. And those are the things that we are working hard to ensure are maintained and resourced this summer. And happy to answer questions.
Yeah, thank you for that, Matt. I know some of the opportunities for paying for lessons or paying for certifications and stuff like that for the lifeguards. I think that's been a great approach, and wish it had a better hold across our municipality and obviously the province as well. I think there's a number, like you said, municipalities having some issues finding lifeguards. So that being said, this is, I think, the best that we can offer is 5 hours per day per facility at our present complement, I would suggest. Yeah,
and we are still in the process of recruiting. The job ads are up, and we're trying to. There's been social media related to it, so
yeah.
If there is opportunity to expand on that, that's staff's desire. But right now, given who we have kind of confirmed for the summer, this is what the programming, the aquatic programming, is looking like for the summer of 2022.
Great. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Andy.
I'd like to staff for bringing forward this report. It's not an easy report to bring forward, I'm sure, because of the it's below the standard that we've been achieving in the past. But I would commend staff for putting together, looking after those high priority areas. It would appear that we as a municipality and as employer are not immune to the problems that every other employer in our community is having. And so this is just part of the current reality that we live in. So it's unfortunate, but it's the reality, and I think we're making the best of it.
Yeah, I think coming out of 2 years of COVID, I think it's not, I wouldn't say scared people off, but I think some of the lifeguards that we had 2 years ago probably moved on to other jobs and positions, and hard to get those people back, and it's hard to recruit right now as well. So yeah, it's good that we can offer some services, whether they're a little bit downgraded. We can still have the facilities open. Dan, any questions or comments? Are you good to move on?
Yeah, I'm okay with what we're saying.
Great, thank you. With that recommendation on the floor, I will call for a vote. All in favor? Thank you very much, and thanks, Matt, for that, and thank your staff for the putting that all together and making it work for the people that we serve. On to the next item, OPS 2022-008, Pickleball Program in Mount Forest. I have a recommendation moved by Councillor Yake and seconded by Mayor Lennox that the Rec, Parks and Leisure Committee receive report RPL 2022-008, being a report on a pickleball program at the Mount Forest and District Sports Complex. And I will pass this over to you, Mandy. I see you've just popped up. Pickleball is probably a little bit more my speed as compared to a skateboard park or a BMX. So happy to hear what you have to say.
Great, thank you, Chair McCabe. So earlier this year, we were approached by a member of Friends of Pickleball League in Mount Forest, and they asked if the township would be willing to begin a program in Mount Forest on the sport floor. So we did review the rental schedule, and we determined that that was something that we would be able to provide to our community, and that it would be a great use of space and a service will increase. So what we are preparing to offer right now would be a May 30th to August 10th use of the arena floor. The schedule will need to be flexible, just recognizing that we do have some large events that are going to take place on the floor, and we don't want to interfere with those. We intend to tape off 4 doubles courts and 2 doubles/single courts, which will allow for 6 courts total and up to 24 players to play at once. And to minimize the impact on our staffing resources, we're planning to keep the net set up all the time and only tear down when there are those large events. So play would be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 9 a.m. to 11, and Wednesday evenings from 6:30 to 8. It would be considered a drop-in program. So we'd have a sign-in sheet, and play would be $5 per person. So when we did some calculations for the financial considerations piece, we assumed that it would be a 40% turnout each week, which would work out to 38 individuals attending at $5 a piece. That works out to $190 a week. And over a 9-week program, that would be about $1,700 in revenue. So one thing to note is that we did not factor in the cost of a floor rental in this financial consideration. And the reason for that is once the program's concluded, we would make a line adjustment and allocate funds from the program to the floor revenue.
Great, thank you very much for that report. Any questions or comments from the committee? Go ahead, Dan.
It's nice to see them coming. They've been playing out of town, haven't they, Mandy?
Yeah, there's been a couple of groups. So Friends of Pickleball have been playing, I believe, in Holstein. They used to play at the Victory Church as well. So they're just looking for a place to play during the summer. There's an Arthur League that's going on as well in Arthur right now, and they liked the way that that was formatted. So I think that was kind of where the thought had come from as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's nice to see them setting up a league here in Mount Forest, and that we've been able to accommodate them very well, very good.
Yeah, I think it's nice that they've started a league or a program, and yeah, and they're using the facility. So it's, I mean, it's great. It's wasn't being used during those times, so I think that makes good use of the Sportsplex. Any questions or comments from you, Mayor Lennox?
I don't think I have anything to add. Chair McCabe, thank you for that opportunity.
Yep, absolutely. Well, the recommendation is on the floor, and I will call for a vote. All in favor for that recommendation. I'm not going to reread it, but all in favor. Great, thank you. And again, thank you for that report, Mandy. Is there going to be a pickle cup competition in Wellington North between the group in Arthur and the group in Mount Forest?
That's a suggestion we could give, yeah.
Some friendly competition. Good, thank you. I'll go around the items for consideration. Start with you, Dan.
I don't think so, Steve. I think I'm good for tonight.
Alrighty. And Sherry, as a guest of the committee, do you have any items for consideration?
No, Chair McCabe.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Lennox.
Thank you, Chair. No, I will pass.
All right, I see our Director of Operations has popped on, so floor is yours, Matt.
Yep, thanks, Steve. So just 3 items that I wanted to highlight during roundtable. First is that Mandy and Courtney have been working on the Aquatics Program for the 2022 season. And, you know, it's lots of work that goes on in behind the scenes to get us to a point where we can implement it. So I know, yeah, we're very appreciative that the summer programs report passed, and just want to say that Mandy and Courtney, Courtney being our aquatics coordinator, have been working hard to make sure that program is going to be a big success in 2022. The Arthur Lions have constructed the base for the Brent Barnes Memorial Skate Park in Arthur. So at this point, the Lions are just coordinating getting the concrete slab poured. So we've been working through that in early May here, and there's been lots of activity here. Actually, George in Arthur has been supporting that as far as staking it out, and it's in the base looks really good. It'll look even more slick when we have some concrete, and the expectation is that Canadian Ramp Company is going to be coming in the end of this month to install equipment. Last one that I hope I'm not stealing Tom's thunder, but the fencing at the Donald softball diamond have been installed, and I just wanted to thank Tom and his team as it relates to the work that goes into getting that to getting that red clay diamond up and running. We have met with Jim Donald this spring, and I think he's fairly impressed with the way it looks and the way Tom's team has been keeping it. So yeah, it's we're in a good space as it relates to that. So just wanted to share those 3 things during the roundtable.
Thank you, Matt. And yeah, after the volunteer appreciation dinner, I walked out with excuse me, Al Rollins and Glenn Cheney just to see the I guess the base. They pulled up all the topsoil, which is thankfully they didn't have to go that deep. And then they laid some I think 5 header tiles, and then packed in some gravel. So when you're standing in the middle of it, it is quite a size, and I believe they staked out where the pump track is. So they're pretty excited, and nice to see that work finally getting started and going. So yeah, and I haven't been over to see the red clay baseball field yet. So looking forward to going over and seeing that as well. Thank you for that. Tom, Matt alluded to not stealing any thunder from you. So if you have any items for consideration or part of our roundtable.
No, Matt stole my thunder, so I'm no good at that. Yeah, take a look at the Donald Diamond. We did some work on the outside of the diamond too, where the bleachers should go. We leveled that all out, put the actual stone dust that came out of it, we put it in behind home plate outside the fencing, leveled it all out, moved all the bleachers around. Looks much more like a good playable ball diamond now.
Excellent. Great. Thanks for that work. And yeah, I should go up and have a peek at it. Matt.
No, I should let Tom finish, sorry.
Oh, I'm done. That was it.
So I was just going to say that I lobbed Tom an easy one as it relates to his team's also been working on the generator at the Mount Forest Arena. And
okay.
that I believe is now operational, which is a project that has been talked about probably for as long as I've been in Wellington North. So kudos to Tom and his team working with Wagler Electric. But yeah, that's exciting, and that's something that, yeah, that's an amazing project too, from a recreation or a community safety, a lot of different aspects. So good work on that one.
Oh, that's good to hear that the generator's in. Thanks. Yeah, and go ahead, Tom.
And just after the week that they put it in and had it certified, we had a planned power outage I wasn't aware of on the Sunday. So the generator actually ran for a few hours, about 3 hours, I think it was. So it was running everything it was supposed to run and seemed fine.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. Right, I've nothing to add for the roundtable right now either. Going once, going twice. Seeing none, I have a recommendation here moved by Councillor Yake and seconded by Mayor Lennox that the Township of Wellington North Recreation Parks and Leisure Committee meeting of actually not June 7th, but May 10th be adjourned at 7:50 p.m. All in favor? Thank you very much, and a special thank you to you, Sherry. I think maybe Jessica's gone, I don't know, or and Vern, I don't see him anymore, but wanted to thank them for joining us as well. And we should have some more collaboration like this as we go forward with the ad hoc committee and the rec, so we can maybe hopefully move things a little bit quicker and get them in front of council as well. So thank you very much for that. And with that, have a great night. Enjoy the week and take care.
Have a
Thanks,
good
everyone.
week.
Thanks,
Have a good
everybody.
night.
Have a good night.